high atop Bronson Towers in Studio 1B on Florida's Space and Treasure Coast. This is The Matthew Bronson Show with Ann Street Dean. Welcome to this episode of The Matthew Bronson Show. We are talking disabilities. I am here with my good friend Ann Street. Hi, Ann.
Hi, folks.
And the reason that Ann is here is because I don't know anything. And Ann is a prosthetist and a physical therapist. But today we're talking about amputees.
Yep, and we have a very interesting product to look at.
Oh, here we are. It is stage right, and specifically, I guess, below knee amputees.
I could probably see it being used for above knees, but the specifics right now that I'm thinking of is really the around the kneecap, the patellar area on a below knee amputee. That really seems to be an area that takes a lot of pressure from the liner.
Right.
And so this product is supposed to relieve that pressure and prevent skin breakdown.
Right. So patellar, I know the Las Vegas Act ended patellar, but
no.
what is a patellar?
The kneecap is the patella.
Okay, same thing.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
But you can charge more if you say patella.
Patella, that's right.
Okay.
It shows it's more specific.
So this product is called Glidewear, and it is at least partially the brainchild of a prosthetist.
Mm-hmm.
So it's someone in the industry. That this wasn't just someone who said, "Oh, I'm going to cut a piece of cloth," but it is nylon spandex, so it does stretch to a certain extent. Well, actually, it stretches quite a bit. This is the large, and it comes in smaller size. And Glidewear did share with me a case study of a 50-year-old woman who had a skin breakdown.
Yeah, she had a large area breakdown, just it looked like on the distal patellar aspect where she might have had some pressure from her socket, but it really created maybe a quarter-size wound.
It was a pretty nasty sore.
It was. It looked like a stage 2, which means it's going down into this the subcutaneous tissue. It's not just a blister; it's a little bit deeper than that. And
I'll just impose or superimpose that image so that people will know what we're talking about. And I believe the case study showed it over 10 months.
I think it was 4 June.
4 months.
Yeah, June to October.
Okay.
Yeah, I had to do it.
But the recovery was really kind of remarkable. I don't know what, I mean, as a prosthetist, you probably see these quite a bit. What other options were there prior to Glidewear? Well,
we would use a lot of lubricants. The locking liner system uses a silicone or thermoplastic elastomer, a product that's going to stick to your skin, and that's what holds the prosthesis onto your body. Well, the patella is a fulcrum area, so there's a lot of pressure on that area when the knee is bending and straightening.
AKA kneecap.
Your kneecap, yes.
Okay.
It tends to get reddened and irritated. Some people have very sensitive skin, and apparently she broke down. So we would use things like vitamin A and D ointment, liquid silk, Crisco, lots of lubricants and powders, which tend to be very messy. It gets on your hands when you're trying to put the liner on or you take it off. It leaks out the top if you start to perspire. It gets warm and moves all over. So this is an advancement in that you've got one piece of material, you roll your liner halfway up, put it in position and roll the liner over it. The seams, they've kept it very low profile, so hopefully you won't get any irritation in areas like that. You may have to move the oval around to get it in the right position that it doesn't create another issue. But it's clean, it's reusable, it's washable, and so it seems like an ideal product, either for a temporary or perhaps even for a long-term use.
Now it is I guess, edged with a zigzag
Mhm.
stitch. And again, I'll superimpose a larger image so you can actually see how well it is manufactured. I would, well, and you were talking about washable, whatever. The fact that it does have an absorption factor to it. Because anyone who wears a socket or a sleeve, in fact, why don't you grab that sleeve for people who might be watching this and not know what a prosthetic sleeve is, but it's just cloth over, is that silicone?
This particular brand is a silicone liner.
Okay. So this would go, if we're talking about the knee cap, depending on the size that you need to cover, it would just go against the skin, and then you would roll that up, and you would have this movement instead of this pulling that would irritate the sore, or possibly create a sore.
That's correct.
And because it is silicone rubberish, depending on the part of the world you live in, you can have perspiration, which would then exacerbate, not practicing medicine without license, but I would think that could make the infection faster.
Correct, and cause maceration, or when you're in a pool too long and your skin gets really soft and wrinkly.
Pruning
it, and that's what maceration is. It becomes very soft and very fragile. So
having something to absorb that
may help. Yes.
Now you said a couple of things that triggered something in my mind. Crisco, that just makes me go ooh, but because my understanding is when I've had a small, ingrown nail or something, or some kind of cut, the doctor always says, keep it clean and dry. All of these lotions and oils
we use powders also.
Okay.
But again, they're messy. They don't always stay in place. And also, as you perspire, they sort of turn into a little bit of a paste,
right,
which doesn't help. So the perspiration is really a big issue, and the heat that's retained underneath the liner.
And you're also creating a barrier, so you're not letting oxygen get to it.
Well, it is. These tend to be a closed system where oxygen is not getting in.
But then if you use something like a Glidewear, it would that's probably one of the reasons that it helps promote the healing, because you're not gooping it over with a Vaseline type thing.
Correct.
The other thing is with the liner, silicone. I know from my scuba diving days that you had to be careful what you cleaned. My mask happened to be made out of silicone. There's certain other lubricants that will break down the silicone.
Right. A lot of times the petroleum products will break down silicone, and if you're using urethane, alcohol will break down urethane. I think the thermoplaster elastomer, TPE, is also broken down by the petroleum products.
Right. So if you're doing a home brew kind of medication for your wound, you could actually end up damaging your liner.
Correct.
So
that's very true.
So in simplest terms, if you have, first consult your doctor or your prosthetist.
Correct. Always go them first.
And if they are not aware of the product Glidewear, and again, this is the large, and it does come in a smaller size, which is probably about half, it helps promote the healing of a wound, as well as, we can say, probably inhibiting the growth of the wound.
And preventing potential breakdown.
And infection. So Glidewear, we'll put a URL at the bottom of the screen, and for the Matthew Bronson Show with Ann Street. Thanks.
Check it out.
Bye.
Listen